so welcome back into the Percussive Arts Society Georgia Chapter interview series. Over the next few months, we'll be talking to some of the great percussionists and drummers across the state, from collegiate professors and grade school instructors to independent performers and educators. Before we dive in, I do want to take a moment to remind you, if you're not an active PAS member, please take a moment to sign up or reactivate your membership. And if you're listening to this or watching before about mid-November 2020, don't forget to sign up for PASIC. It will be a virtual event this year, but there's going to be a lot of great content on there. So now I would like to introduce our guest for today, the amazing, the incredible performer and educator, Mr. Emrah Kotan. Emrah, how are you?
I'm okay, thank you. Good to be here. Nice to see you.
Awesome. So for some of you who may not know Emrah, he is not only an independent performer and educator around Atlanta, he's also an instructor at Agnes Scott. He leads the jazz ensemble and the world percussion ensemble there as well. Can you tell us a little bit about getting into that job, and then just a little bit about how you kind of got into the Atlanta music scene as an independent artist?
Well, it's been a journey for sure. I came United States from my native country, Turkey, in 1999, and I got my master's degree from Georgia State University and graduated from there 2003. I got Agnes Scott gig in 2003. Yeah, it was 2002, 2003, I believe. Getting into 2004, I got a notification they were looking for a percussion instructor first. They were looking for a applied percussion professor, and I applied to that. I got that information from Georgia State because they get all this hiring things and job hiring for percussion or different instruments, and administration office have that information, and they let me know. And luckily, I was on time and I was just applied it, and it was a couple of interviews, plus I had to perform for the faculty, the whole music faculty. They wanted to hear my work, and then they recommend me to the dean. And from there on, I had 2 interviews and phone calls, this and that, and next thing I know, I got hired. And it's been 15 years. I have been teaching there as a faculty in 15 years. So a really proud faculty of wonderful Agnes Scott College. And for music scene, I guess started when I was even a student. Like when I was doing my master's degree, I was actually start playing around little by little, get my name out there. And then after I graduated, of course, it was full force, going places, jam sessions a little bit. And, people, from the music scene, from the school, the people you went to school with, teachers or anybody who recommend you, word of mouth, as probably this, it's not only how you play, it's also who you know in this entertainment business, music business, any artistic art form. We have the same thing. So little by little, it's started up and start playing, and that's how I'm still playing and still developing my environment, musical environment, artistic environment, and hopefully play more.
Very cool, very cool. Now I know I've seen you play a couple of times. I love the fact that whether it's drum set or any kind of hand percussion, ethnic, anything, you seem to do a little bit of everything. Can you tell us a little bit about when you first got into percussion, maybe just like little Emrah as a kid, what got you excited to learn percussion, and then your journey up to coming here and going to Georgia State and all that?
Well, great question. I didn't start with the percussion, believe it or not. When I was in Turkey, my first ever instrument was mandolin, and I was a good mandolin player. I practiced a lot and I loved it. And I started music when I was 8 years old with mandolin. And elementary school that I went to, we had a music class. They taught mandolin. So I was taking the class, plus I got into it more and more. And I loved the instrument and music. And I was taking private classes other than just going to classes in the elementary school. And the music teacher that I was studying with recommend my parents to me to go to conservatory, the music school in Turkey, and I auditioned for Ankara State Conservatory in Turkey, and I got in there. I got into 2 auditions, and they picked me as a percussionist. They accept me as a percussion department. I'm not it's not that I wanted to be a percussionist. Believe it or not, I want to be a piano player. I want to be a concert pianist or violinist or something like that. When I got in, I kind of got upset. Why am I going to be hitting the drums and things like that? You know, I was pretty disappointed at that moment when I first got in the conservatory. But it was funny, and then I started it, and then I thought it was the most incredible thing ever happened. I'm so blessed and actually happy to pick as a percussionist after I start my first year. And then, you know, I graduated from there. The system in Turkey, by the way, is a little different than the United States. I auditioned the school right after I finished my elementary school. So the system is there. You go into conservatory if you want to study in the music genre, if you want to do anything artistic. The middle school, high school, and college in one place, in the same conservatory. Yeah. So when I went to conservatory, I studied middle school there, high school there, and the college, 4-year college. So all throughout the years, and nothing but, you know, percussion and music, and focusing on, you know, mostly orchestral percussion, nothing to do with jazz or you know, more ethnic. Even though I was into a lot of ethnic percussion, hand percussion, and drum set, jazz, especially the genre of jazz, but we didn't really study that in the conservatory. Mostly orchestral percussion performance. So that was my degree. And I decided to come to United States, and I wanted to be, you know, more world musician, jazz musician, more like playing drum set, compose, arrange, learn different musical styles, musical genres, learn hand percussion and get better at it, different world percussion. I want to be my concept was, as a musician, I didn't want it to be a just player. I wanted to be a complete musician. I wanted to be as complete as possible what I do as far as the musical genre goes. So I wanted to be able to play a lot of different ethnic percussion, because when you look at it all over the world, there are each country, each continent has some sort of rhythmic concept, rhythmic drumming going on. And I wanted to get in every single one of those and learn as much as I can. I want to be a complete musician in terms of playing a percussion or drums. So learn all those rhythms, all those genres, and be able to play them as unique and original as possible. That was my main goal. Believe it or not, when I was 13, I decided that I just wanted to come to the United States. And this is the only country I think in the world you can accomplish that, my opinion. Because, you know, I think that as far as the drumming, as far as all the different cultures, all the different kind of drumming, all the different kind of musical influences, I think that will be the best country for me to be in. And I'm so blessed to be here. And I decided to come here when I was 13, and then I finished conservatory, graduated from there, played a little bit in Turkish music scene, pop music scene, some funk, R&B kind of stuff, blues. We had a lot of that kind of stuff, that kind of music in Turkey as well. And then I came to United States in 1999. From there on, you know, first I had to learn English, because I went to ESL courses and learn English. And then I applied to Georgia State, and I got in there in 2000, started there year 2000. I was blessed to study with one of the best percussion teachers in the planet. His name is Jack Bell. I was one of his students. I'm honored and I'm so honored and grateful to study with him. So one of the best percussionists in the planet, by far. And so I studied with him. I graduated from there. From there on, I came from here. Just like, you know, it's a long journey, and still, you know, I feel like I'm the same I have the same mentality as learner, as a student, is 13 years old, and now nothing changed as far as the perspective of learning this instrument, or all those percussion instruments that I wanted to play and learn. And after I came to United States, of course, I had a background playing hand percussion in Turkey, by the way. I play traditional Turkish, Middle Eastern stuff, and but I also learn how to play a lot of, tumbadoras, congas, bongos, this and that. As a percussionist, you have to learn those. I start getting into that. And then after I came to United States, of course, seeing and studying and practicing and learning, it opens my, perspective of understanding different genres of music. Because if you wanted to learn Brazilian music, there are Brazilian musicians here to play with and ask questions, learn how they play. If you wanted to play Afro-Cuban, there are Cuban musicians, Puerto Rican, all the Latin musicians you play with. I would think that I wouldn't be able to accomplish that in my country, to be playing with the actual people who live that music, who breathe that music. And that's the reason why, I got into hand percussion, because hand percussion to me is the foundation of anything that you want to do with the drum set. Everything, in my opinion, came from the hand percussion at some point. Before the drum set, there was just hand percussion. So to me, the root is very important, where it came from, how it played, how it's supposed to sound, and how do you interpret in the instrument. Those are the things that I think I learn, and I'm still studying, and that's how I put that kind of concept in my playing, and still trying to get better at it.
Very cool. So one thing I love to get from these interviews is just different ways to think. I love that your perspective about you as a learner at 13 and you as a learner now, it's the same process. No matter how old you get, we can still all be curious and everything. I also love the idea you talk about coming to America and being able to meet. You can talk to a Cuban musician about that music. You can talk Brazilian music. And I think it's great too, if somebody wants to learn Turkish music, they have this resource right here with you, where you've brought all of your influence, you've learned everything else. And part of that I think is really cool is you have an album, for anybody who doesn't know, from 2013, I believe, the new Anatolian Experience. It is a killer album. Anybody, please go check it out. I'll tell you right now, this dude could just as easily cover for Dave Weckl and Vinnie Colaiuta as he could for Jack DeJohnette or Jeff Watts. It's a really, really cool album. And I think it shows also the fact that you do play other instruments. So I'm sure you had to have a pretty heavy hand in the writing process as well, besides just the drumming. Can you tell us a little bit about deciding to put together an album, and then some of that process of writing, recording, gigging it, the whole shebang?
Absolutely. Thank you. It's wonderful. Thank you for your kind words about it. Yeah, those are my influences, by the way. You were talking about Vinnie Colaiuta, and you're my number one influence. So, but yeah, to me, like I said, like I mentioned before, it's more important for me to become a musician instead of instrumentalist. I never see myself, the drums and percussion only is a tool for me to create music. And I think that more well-rounded and versatile musicians I become, and the influences that I have been learning and studying all these years and playing with people that, I'm blessed to play with. Everybody that I play with, you learn something, you get influence, and you listen something, you get influence. So all those different things definitely kind of mixed together in my musical journey. And I decided to write and arrange. I have always been amazed the percussionists or drummers who can write and who can arrange. And I study, of course, harmony, jazz, keyboard when I was doing my master's and stuff. And I put all this, information together to how to create the music in my own head. How can I put it together? And to me, it's very important for us as a percussionist and drummer to understand in different kind of melodic or harmonic instruments. It could be guitar or piano or bass in a way, but definitely as a percussionist or drummer, we need to know piano or guitar or something that we can actually, write with, because also for us to understand how to play those instruments and see ourselves from their perspective, different musicians' perspective, that makes you a different musician, extra musician. That's you're learning a new language or something, so you can speak their language as well. Understand about their concept and their understanding about how they look at rhythm. And as a rhythm player, to me, my choice of writing was piano. And even though I came up with a lot of my melodic stuff on drums when I was writing my music, but mainly I actually interpret everything that I know as far as all the rhythmic concepts or anything that I wanted to put it together as far as the musical genre. Or another thing that I love to do, I mix up genres together. I don't like to just, I'm not the kind of person just you have to be purist, just play one genre, unless you have to play the one genre that it's required to play. But in my music, I didn't wanted to do that. I wanted to be more adventurous, more creative about using my background with the stuff that I've been learning and studying and experiencing playing with. Like, for example, I came from the culture that we have a lot of odd meter stuff. And I wanted to put those odd meter stuff with the concept of Afro-Cuban rhythms or Brazilian rhythms, and or swing, bebop, things like that. I mix it up, all this different cultural influences in my music. And of course, writing with piano is very important, understanding about the harmony and the melody and the rhythm. And you can actually accomplish that, in my opinion, you can do it with the piano the best, because it's a whole orchestra right there. So, and to me, it's very important to understand piano as a percussionist and drummer, as a musician. So being said that, I study that and I practice and sit down and experiment to see what I can come up with in what I'm hearing in my head, how I can actually put it in a orchestrated situation in the album. So I started writing it, and it was actually my wife's idea. My wife actually pushed me to put this album out, because she's a major force for me to put this album out, because she definitely recognized the potential that I have and all this musical genres that I study and want to play and write. And she said, why don't you put your own music out there, your own style, put your own own music to the music world, share with everybody. I was like, okay. And she pushed me a lot for it. I gotta give it to her, big credit to my wife for this, and I'm grateful for that. And again, start writing. It was a long process, because depending on people's schedule, sometimes it's difficult to get their studio, the finances, and this and that. It took me a while, but I finally got it out on 2013, and I'm really happy with what it come out. It became actually very successful as a first debut album. It has been reviewed with the major jazz critics, and it was I was actually honored to be in the same drum magazine who compare my record with Billy Cobham's, and it was just yeah, it's a very thank you. Yeah, it's one of my drum heroes. I was just like a legend. So it's kind of like it became pretty successful, and it was I don't want to brag about it, but yeah, it's all over the United States, it was very well received, and all over the world pretty much. And I'm happy about it, and start performing with the people that I work with, and the people who understand my musical concepts and musical the people that I grew up with musically, and understand my musical approach. And I had my own band, and perform over the years, and I have some footages on YouTube of jazz festivals and this and that. If people wants to check it out, they can go YouTube and see my music and hear my music from my CD as well. And then and still it it's always grows. I mean, you know, another thing that I want to talk about, you know, I wrote all this music, but when we play it and what people interpret my music, it took the whole music whole another level. I hear something in my head and I put it out there, but when people, other musicians that you work with their interpretation of your music, when they put it together and play it and perform it, it actually takes whole another level. And that's what I enjoy the most, you know, to see how the music is actually opens up and goes places. So it's pretty much, that's how it is, you know, that's how I, you know, start all this music, you know, recording process of my music.
Very cool. So I think maybe we should all write a little thank you letter to Mrs. Kotan about pushing you into that then.
Oh,
So,
thank you. Yeah, I think she was proud of me too, I gotta say. And she pushed me the big time. It was like, you gotta do it, you gotta do it. And like, I listened to her and I'm glad I did. So, you know, thank you though.
yeah, absolutely. And yeah, for anybody, again, if you're not familiar with it, I believe you can find the album on iTunes and Amazon Music. You can find Emrah all over YouTube, some live performances. I know you're regularly involved with the Velvet Note up here, so you can probably, there's probably some videos of you playing at Velvet Note, maybe from a little while ago, but
Yeah, not regularly anymore because I used to be playing there regularly Thursday night jam sessions. I was their house drummer, and I play like three years maybe, probably 4 years maybe. I don't remember, but yeah, for a long time I was there involved, and I performed there many times. One of my favorite places to perform. I love Tamara, and I love the vibe there. It's just very cool, and you know, enjoy every time I play there.
and I can still remember when I first moved to the Atlanta area, a friend of mine said, you got to get to this place called the Velvet Note. There's a guy named Emrah that plays drums there. And I was like, all right. And that was my introduction. So, but speaking of all that kind of stuff, the album and playing out and stuff, part of why we're doing these interview series right now is because in the world of COVID, we're all a little bit stuck. We can't go see the performances. Young students can't go tour universities and stuff. So what I want to know is, how has your life, maybe your music changed because of this? And what's the biggest positive that you think you found from the quarantine time?
Well, I would definitely say non-musically spending more time with my family. That is the most important thing. That when you see sometimes, you know, all this madness pre-pandemic, we had to work hard, get gigs to gigs, rehearsals, recordings, which is wonderful. Nothing to I'm looking forward to do that rest of my life. Hopefully after this, you know, whole pandemic is over. But the one of the most important things that you don't realize in a way is your family, your wife, your kids. You are with them all the time now. You can spend time with them and talk to them and do things together. I know it's challenging times, but the best part of it to me, to be with my family all the time, and that's the most beautiful thing. That's the most positive thing. And number two, um, this is more musical, you know, way. I actually sit down and reevaluate everything that I have studied and learned and still studying in my entire musical career, and sit down and think, what am I lacking as far as a musicianship? What am I not good at? And I start tackling those with like really serious practicing, like sitting down and hours serious practicing, not just sit down and just whatever jamming, but actually sitting down and whatever I'm not good at, sit down and like focusing the pinpoint things that I wanted to get better at it. So that's probably one of the things that the most productive thing that I have done. I'm still working on it, of course, it's all never ends, but it helped me a lot to actually spend time. The things that I thought I could do, but I'm probably not that good at. And making you realize when you think about it. And I start practicing a lot of different things, not only drum set and hand percussion as well. And I got into this app called Acapella. and start making drum and percussion videos and experimenting things that I wanted to experiment. It was like a platform for me to have fun with all the information that I have and share with everybody at the same time. You know, it's not only I want to play all this, you know, I want to kill all this stuff and whatever chops and this and that. It's not my point. My point is just that the concept that I wanted to come up with to share with other people, share with musicians, the drummer, percussionists, to get the feedback from them, to see how, you know, how I, you know, all my practicings and all my work, how I receive what people think about it, you know. So it's, you know, I start doing that platform, using that platform, which you know, I'm still learning, but it's been very, very productive, and did a lot of different videos. And I start adding, playing the videos with, you know, just playing a piano, playing all the instruments, bass, piano, guitar, whatever instrument I have in here. I wish I could have a mallet instrument. I would definitely put some vibraphone and things like that, but unfortunately I don't have it. So I have a piano and all this percussion stuff, and then I come up with, you know, this jazz standards and things like that. I wanted to play different arrangements that I have been doing actually. So I put it out there and you know, having fun with it. So that's another thing that I wanted to, it was very creative and a productive process in this COVID-19. Since I'm not playing out with musicians, I have to be my own musician. I have to, you know, stretch my limits to be able to play all these instruments and make music. Because if you don't make music, then it becomes pretty depressing as a musician, as an artist. You know, if we have to pray and stick with what we want to do, what we want to get better at it. And my opinion, that's the drumming and music in general. So I pray and just focus on those things instead of focusing on you know, negative stuff, you know, things like that. I know it's not easy. It's very challenging. It has been a challenge. The whole year it has been a really big challenge for the whole world probably. But, you know, for me and for everybody, as a musician, as an artist, it's the whole industry just went shut down. It's just still struggling. But good thing is all of us are practicing. All of us are trying to get better, and all of us are still trying to keep the music and the art form that we're working on alive. That's the most important and most productive thing as a musician we do, and inspire others and get inspired by everybody else. You know, that's another thing that you know, thanks to social media, that's very easy now. You see, you know, I enjoy your videos, by the way. You know, I just wanted to mention that here. I follow you and watching your videos as well. Your educational stuff are phenomenal, and I'm learning from everybody, including you, watching your videos. And you know, just get inspired and inspire people, inspire other musicians. That's probably the most productive thing in this challenging times for me.
Very cool. And we will definitely share some of the links to Emrah's pages if you're watching this and you haven't followed him, haven't heard him before. So you can watch some of those videos that he was mentioning using acapella, where you'll see him playing bass and keys and percussion and everything. So that'll all be included with a link with this video, so you can go check that stuff out. So I think along the same lines, I know I've said a lot of nice things about you today. I promise I'm not going to get too sappy here, but one thing I will say above everything else, above the playing, the teaching, everything, is everybody watching has probably picked up on this right now. You're a very positive person and very accepting of all the people and all the music and everything. Is there anything in your daily routine that you do to feed that positivity? Is there something just in music or in life that helps kind of push that for you? And then is there anything along there that you would share with somebody who maybe is struggling right now to fill up their positivity meter a little bit?
What I do. I'm going to say that I'm a believer of, I'm a Muslim, and I'm a believer of Allah, and I pray daily. And that is probably the most important thing in life, because the life we're living in, one day we're going to be gone. This is just a passage that we have. And in order for us to create or produce positivity. Because so when you look at it in the world, there's so much negativity and so much evil going on. And in order for this thing to be not to get you, you need that support from the ultimate, the power who created you. So I pray pretty much, that I believe the power of prayer. I'm not going to be religious, preaching religious stuff here, but to me the most important thing in life is actually the connecting with the Creator. To me, Allah, I call it Allah, you call it God, or the God, and just, to me, if I have more connections with the Creator, Allah, and I'm just, it gives me all the power or all the guidance and everything else. And being positive comes from that, because if you don't have that spiritual support, you're gonna get negative, because there's always negativity no matter what. And that's pretty much, the negative stuff actually educates you. That's an experience that you have to go through to understand and stay positive, and stay positive and try to spread that positivity all over. Because if you don't, as an artist, to me, as an artist, you and me or everybody else who's creating any kind of art form, we are responsible to, my opinion, we are responsible to do that, spread that positivity, spread that peace. And I have a theory that if there's everybody play an instrument, musician, there would have been no war in this planet. It doesn't matter. If everybody speak the language of music, I would think that there would have been no war. And we may have a drum battle or two, but other than that, I guess it would have been much better place to live. I believe this planet would have a much better place to live, because as an artist, we have that concept to be peaceful and understanding and tolerant. So those are the things that reflects your music in the end. You do not only just practice and just play music. Music is not only playing. The notes are just not only the words that you're expressing musically. It is much deeper than that. Real music, to make the people feel, that's much, 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 much bigger, deeper, emotional and emotional aspect of this art form. So in order to touch that, to me, we have to do the certain things. You pray, you get the guidance, you just try to stay positive. I mean, we're all human beings. We all have things in our minds and things but the bottom line is, if you're not positive, especially the times like this, if you're not positive, the whole world will be probably the most depressing place to be. So that's another reason. I'm accepting, everyone, because of, everybody who wanted to be positive, everybody who wants to learn from each other. It's an experience. We all created by Allah, God, the God or Allah, whatever you want to call. So for me, if you don't accept anybody, you pretty much insulting the creation, the creator, insulting the creator. That's how I look at it. So I accept, because I don't create anybody, I don't judge anybody. So that's how I look at it. So if I don't judge, there's nothing for me to think anything badly about anybody. I just wish the best to everyone. And, I want everyone to be the best way they can be. So that's how I look at it.
Very cool. It's great to hear a different perspective. The Percussive Art Society in general has been very vocal, particularly through their Diversity Alliance right now, about just kind of accepting everything, trying to open people's eyes to more perspectives than their own. I know a lot of times in the US, depending on what collegiate system you might go through, you might be exposed to only 1% of the world. And it's great now to have part of this interview series is let's get some different perspectives. So I know personally, I love hearing that there's something, it's more than just the music. There's some higher purpose. And whether we want to call that Allah or God or fate or whatever your purpose is, it's nice to know that the music can be driven by something else. It can be easy sometimes to get buried into our practice rooms, spend too much time on a practice pad and forget to look up and enjoy the world. So
Absolutely. Everything that we look at is a reason to be there, for us to learn and for us to get inspired and experience. There's a reason for everything. So that's another thing that I found very interesting. As a drummer, you say, so we were talking about diversity. To me, my opinion, there is nothing more diverse than drums and percussions in the world, because like I said before, every country and every continent has some kind of rhythm, some kind of drumming, some kind of dance, some kind of folklore. And it's us to, as a drummer or percussionist, it's us to put that, culture. We are a big part of that culture anywhere in the world. It's just like, could be US, could be Asia, could be Middle East, could be Europe, anywhere, Africa, Caribbean, everywhere. There's a drum and rhythm. So our job is just to unite, be more versatile, be more, be more artists, like, positive artists that learn from each other and make great music together. So it's being versatile. So it's very important.
now this wasn't on the show rundown of questions, but now that we're talking about the different cultures and diversity, the wide nature of percussion, if there was somewhere, assuming we didn't have everything going on right now that is going on, if there was one culture that you could just go live in for like a month and study with their master percussionist, is there one place or one kind of music or instrument that you would love to go study with the masters in its native country?
I do have a lot. I mean, this is a really difficult question for me, but yeah, I pretty much, is that supposed to be just one answer, one place,
Oh,
or
I know
could be,
there's no way that anybody could pick just one, but if you had to pick one that's on your list that would really excite you.
it probably would be Cuba, because I love to study West African drumming, for example, but a lot of those West African drumming actually transcended to the Cuba in the Caribbean. And I would like to study flamenco, and a lot of, those, the cajon rumba playing, it came from Cuba. That the rumba actually is Cuban, African origin. So a lot of connections. I can, I study a lot of different kind of musical genres, but a lot of connections between those, the rhythmic concepts that I'm into, whether it's Afro-Cuban music or Brazilian music, Brazilian rhythms, or flamenco, or it could be Indian. There are Middle Eastern, there are a lot of connections rhythmically, believe it or not. So it's very important for me to just, if I pick one, it probably would be Afro-Cuban drumming, because this is more, to me, more like a center. If you can learn that, you can kind of understand other genres as well. I mean, like I said, it's not only way to do it. I love to also study Brazilian. I would love to go to Bahia and in Brazil and study the Afro-Brazilian music. That's another thing that I wanted to do. But if I want to pick one, I guess I may have to pick because it's close by, and maybe the Afro-Cuban music. But that would be it.
Very cool.
Mhm.
So we're just about going to wrap things up. I do want to just kind of give you the floor one more time. If there's anything else that you want to talk about, just so for the percussion community, most of this will be hopefully our fellow Georgia percussionist. But any percussion anywhere, anything that's just on your mind, something cool coming up that you're working on, just last chance to say anything you want to our audience today.
Well, first of all, I wanted to thank you and PASIC Georgia chapter to having me with this wonderful, interview, and it's a pleasure to talking to you. Great drummer, percussionist like yourself, and really happy to be chatting with you. Finally, it's been a while. We haven't actually sit down and talk. And I wanted to thank you all for having me and thinking of me to be in this wonderful interview. And then the second, just the I wanted to hopefully write more music and arrange more music and record a new record, hopefully after this pandemic is over, and come up with my next album. That's my prayers and that's my hope to be able to do my next step with my my music. That's what I wanted to do. And other than music, we always talk about percussion, drums. I know it's a basic thing. I also do acting, and I wanted to get better at and go back to studying and getting into the more of acting world as well. And I found a lot of connections between the things that I do in music and things that actually in the art of acting, being an actor and musician. It's a very connected. I found a lot of connections and a lot of improvisation, a lot of being in the moment, especially like, genre of jazz, I would like to say. When you're a jazz musician, jazz drummer, you're playing jazz stuff, you improvise, you interact, you talk to other instruments, respond to each other at the moment, using the moment. And, it's a lot of connections between the acting is the same way. There's a structure, but you also, the how you say it, way you say it, things like that. So I want to get better at that too as well, just get, involved more and hopefully get a couple of cool roles and things like that in movies. And, and another thing that, wanted to wish everybody to stay healthy. And I want everybody to hoping everyone to stay healthy and stay happy and positive these difficult times. I'm praying for everyone and the whole world, hopefully, pass these challenging times and get back to our creative and normal life, I should say. I don't know what normal is anymore, but yeah. So I'm hoping for the best for everybody and wishing everybody a good health and prosper living.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for giving us some of your time today, sharing some insights, some of your story. We're going to be uploading some educational stuff from Emrah soon, so keep an eye on this page. Make sure you're following the PAS Georgia chapter Facebook page. We're also planning to launch some other social media, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube soon, so keep an eye out for that. So on behalf of the Percussive Art Society and the Georgia chapter, thank you again for watching. Stay safe, and we'll see you again soon.